I got my real estate license in March of 1986. My first office was the John Douglas Company at 155 Washington Boulevard in Venice Beach, just down from the Venice Pier. I started in real estate when I was 24 years young. Venice was a blast in the 80s. You could be playing frisbee on the beach, go roller skating, surfing, of course. There was Muscle Beach, and once in a while, there was a bikini contest. Man, Venice was a blast. Let me tell you about selling real estate in the 80s. Again, I started in 86, so it was the mid to late 80s when I started my career in Venice. And it was completely different than it is now. There were no computers, no fax machines, no cell phones, no email, no internet, of course. So it was pretty archaic back then. I remember to get MLS listings, once a week the MLS would publish a book of all the listings, new listings and current listings. And that book was, I don't know, a couple inches thick, like a small phone book. So you'd get your book and then you'd look through everything to see the new listings or whatever. But if you were really proactive, you could actually go down to the MLS. You could walk into the MLS and they had a counter and they had these little flip card thingies where the new listings were. So when the MLS got a new listing, they would put it on this counter on a card before they put it in the book. So you could run down there and look at all the new listings. So completely different market. Prices were way lower. We didn't have all this craziness that we have now in real estate. There wasn't that much development going on. Things were calm. It was kind of a sleepy business back then in the mid to late 80s as far as real estate's concerned. I remember, marketing was like, well, you could cold call people, but that wasn't really a thing. They told us, you got to work your database, your family, your friends, whatever. I was 24 years old. None of my friends were buying real estate. I mean, we were, drinking beer, chasing girls, going surfing, rollerblading on the boardwalk. And I didn't have any friends buying real estate. In my family, I didn't have a lot of family locally here that could help me out. So I did a lot of open houses, tons of open houses every weekend, pretty much. That's kind of how I built my building. I do remember, though, one of my mentors telling me, you can do flyers door to door. You could door knock. So I remember the very first marketing piece I ever did was I Xeroxed, I don't know, maybe 50 copies, 100 copies. I don't even know what was on that Xerox. Hi, my name's Derrick. I'm a local realtor. Call me if you want to sell your house. Something simple like that. I remember going door to door and putting them on the doorstep in front of the houses. I remember I was in East Venice, like on Glencoe and Glendon, that area out there. I was putting flyers on doors back then. So that was that's how I got started, that and open houses. And I remember my very first transaction, I got a for sale by owner listing. Oh, that was the other thing. Yeah, go after for sale by owners. I don't think expireds was a thing back then, but definitely for sale by owners, because there was a lot more people trying to sell their house by themselves in that era. So I remember I got my first listing. It was a little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, probably in East Venice. I can't even remember. I wonder if the MLS has those records that I could go back and dig in the archives. I'd like to find out the very first house I sold. But anyways, it sold quick. And I remember the guys, it was 2 gay guys that owned the house. And I remember them telling me, Derrick, is this your first deal ever or what? And I was like, well, I don't know what I said, but they could tell that I was green. Let's go down memory lane and take a look at some of my old listings from back in the day. It's crazy. Now, in our current MLS, listings only go back to 1999. They don't go back to 86. So I don't have access to those older listings. But here, for example, at 647 Angeles Place, Venice, a duplex on a 4,200 square foot lot sold for $425,000. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath and a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, sharp remodel duplex. This one sold in 1999 for $419,000. So that's what the market was like back then. Now this property is probably worth a couple mil. Let me go look at another one. Okay, here's another one from, I think it's 99 as well. 1999. And it is a single family house at 1345 Pearl Street. By the way, you can tell these go back so far that we didn't even have photos up, or I don't know what happened to the photos. But anyways, This was a 3-bedroom, 1 3/4 bath, 1,473 square feet house that sold for $525,000. First time on market in 60 years. Original, untouched, traditional home in prime Sunset Park. First time on the market. 2-car garage. Yeah, so that's what a house in prime Sunset Park would go for back in the day. Let me tell you how I kind of transitioned from selling residential property here on the West Side to transitioning over to selling apartment buildings. So for the first, 15 years or so of my career, it was pretty much, all residential, lots of condos, townhouses, single family homes, the occasional duplex, maybe 1 or 2 triplexes, I think. But after about 15 years, I was like, wow, you know what? There's a whole other market for rental properties and investors, and why don't I give that a try? So I basically started farming 2 to 4 unit properties in like the Venice, West LA, Mar Vista area, and I got a lot of success early with that. I was sending out postcard mailers, I was cold calling, and it seemed to work out pretty good. I mean, it was a good time to transition. So that was probably about 25 years ago when I started, pretty much farming rental properties. And really, I think it was the best move I ever made. I really like working with investors. Investors do multiple deals. Sometimes you get a listing and the investor wants to do a 1031 exchange into a larger property. So instead of 1 property, you got 2 properties sold. Also, a lot of my apartment investor clients have done multiple deals with me. I mean, I have clients that I've done 5, 6, 7 transactions with over the last 40 years because they're investors and they're buying and they're selling and they're moving and they're shaking. And the past 25 years of selling investment property has really been a great thing for me. I'm very happy I transitioned. Now, I still do single family houses and condos. I sold a condo last year on Sunset Strip. One of my best investor clients, he bought a single family house from me a few years ago and built a beautiful house there. I do a lot of trust and probate type stuff. So I get investors and, their dad passed and they have this house in Mar Vista and they don't know what to do with it. Derrick, can you just sell this house? So yeah, I still sell, houses and condos and stuff. But, my first primary mission, I think, in real estate is rental properties. Anyways, this has been a great chapter of my career selling investment property, and I'll be doing this for the rest of my career here. So, like I said, one of the best things I ever did was transition to selling rental properties. One thing I wanted to mention about selling rental properties here in Los Angeles now, compared to the 80s, 90s, 2000s, is it's a lot more complicated. The city, LA City Council, and LAHD, and have really clamp down on what we can do as rental property owners. I own a building and, I work with landlords, but with rent control and restrictions and the way that the city kind of is pro-tenant and anti-landlord has made owning and selling and buying rental properties a little bit more difficult. So it's crucial in this market in Los Angeles and the West Side here in 2026 that you work with a highly experienced rental property broker like myself that knows the LAHD system, rent control, the new regulations, the laws, how to properly vet tenants, how to price buildings properly, and a whole host of other issues that we have to now deal with in 2026. Back in the day, it was a 1-page contract. You could do a handshake with a tenant and get him in your building. And if you had to relocate that tenant or evict them, it wasn't a big deal. So, but nowadays, you rent to the wrong tenant, it could be a disaster. I know a lot of my clients have rented to the wrong tenants and end up paying thousands in relocation fees or settlements and stuff like that. So just the main message I want to impart is that you need a highly experienced, highly knowledgeable rental property broker when you're selling your building. Unfortunately, that's the state of the market here in Los Angeles in 2026. I don't think it's going to get easier in the future. One of the things that really helped me in my career was jumping on the technology bandwagon from the get-go. Like I said earlier, we didn't have any kind of tech, internet, email, anything like that in 1986. It wasn't until the 90s, I believe, when we started getting cell phones, computers, I remember the first fax machine. Um, and we also, before computers, our office had a dumb terminal that would spit out listings on thermal paper. So that was really archaic. But when computers and technology started to really happen, I jumped on the bandwagon. My first computer was a DOS machine, 8088. And then there was, I think, 286s and 386s, but I go back that far, DOS. I knew how to type in prompts in DOS. That's how far back I go with technology. But jumping on that bandwagon really helped my career because technology in real estate nowadays is everything. And, my technology chops are, you're not going to find many realtors that have more technology chops than I do. And it's not bragging. It's just the fact that I'm interested in technology, building websites, editing videos like this, using AI to create things, using tools like Canva to create graphics and stuff for marketing. Really, really important. I think it was in 92 or 96. I woke up one day and I thought digitalrealtor.com. So I jumped on the internet. I got that domain name, digitalrealtor.com, and that's what I used instead of my name when I launched my first websites. But unfortunately, after a few years, the National Association of Realtors sent me a cease and desist letter saying, you can't use the word realtor in your domain name because that's our property. So I had to give up that domain and go back and transition to DerrickRuiz.com, which is fine. But I remember I had my first email account on a service called Prodigy, which was kind of like AOL back in the day. So yeah, I'm an early adopter from all kinds of technology. Let me show you, in fact, the earliest website that was from, I think, 1994, 1995 that I had built. So let me share my screen. I'm using the Wayback Machine, which is an internet archive, and it's fabulous. So I can actually go back and see what my old websites look like. So let's take a peek here. This is my very first website, Digital Realtor, Westside Properties, digitalrealtor.com. How to buy a home, how to sell a home, my listings, view Westside listings, my marketing plan. I mean, wow, this is pretty good stuff for like the 1990s, These links don't all work anymore, but this one works. Testimonials and success stories. So way back in the day, I was doing testimonials. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Here's a really good story about my friends Rodney and Linda buying a Venice bungalow on Rialto Street in Venice Beach. So let's look at another one. Now this one's a little later. I think this one is from about 2000. So this was an updated website. This one actually looks pretty good for the 2000s. I mean, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Sell your property, buy a property. Yeah, these links work. Yeah. These links work. Buy a property, my bio, resume, philosophy. Yeah, this is cool. Seniors real estate. Here's a nice little testimonial from Maurice Giroux from January 2002. Yeah. Testimonials back then. So yeah, this is really cool. So, like I said, I had websites from the 90s. Now it's all about AI, really important. And my latest is building AI websites. So my current website at DerrickRuiz.com was built by myself with AI, and it's the best website I've ever had. Okay, here's the website I built with AI in this last month. I have a hero video on the front page. A lot of this was done with AI. This is an AI shot of this lady pouring champagne. I kind of like that shot. It's like, hey, let's celebrate closing escrow. Got a nice drone shot of Marina Del Rey. Got another AI video I created on Flow, which is kind of cool. This was a AI generated video too. Anyways, the site came out great. I'm really, really happy with it. It's state of the art, cutting edge, and it was all done with AI. And ChatGTP helped me a lot for a lot of the writing on this stuff too. Came out really, really good. I have my property page right here with recent multifamily rental property sales, recent home sales, and my current listings, like this one on Moore Park. 14 units. I got my testimonial page right here. Got a lot of buyer and seller guides, how to sell an apartment building, how to sell a home, how to buy a home, Westside LA neighborhood guide. Yeah, so it's good stuff. Really happy how it came out. And that's just an example of the, kind of technology stuff that I've been doing my entire career. So like I said, being a technology thought leader in the real estate space has been a really good thing for me. One of the most important skill sets I've learned over the past 40 years of selling real estate is how to guide families through tough decisions when it comes to real estate and elderly parents and those kind of issues. In my career, I'm very often dealing with elderly apartment owners that need to sell, or people that inherited a building or a home from their parents and they need to sell. Sometimes it's a probate situation where the parent didn't leave a will or a living trust and it has to go through court. I've gone through probate situations with clients many, many times in my career. Sometimes if the parent had a living trust, then we're not dealing with court. We're just dealing with trustees and the system, but there's no court involved. So I have a lot of experience with that, dealing with attorneys, probate attorneys, trust attorneys. Sometimes there's family issues. Siblings aren't agreeing on what to do. Should they sell? Should they keep? Should they rent? Should they rehab the property to get the most money out of it? These are very common issues in my world. When it comes to apartment buildings, it seems that most people don't sell until they're elderly. Most people want to hold on to their building and keep getting their cash flow till the very end. So I deal with a lot of those kind of situations. A lot of my clients, I'm working with the kids. Mom or dad is got early dementia or full-blown dementia, and then we got attorneys involved and the trusts involved. So very common situation in my world. Like I said, I deal with this all the time. I've got a lot of experience helping people transition mom or dad into an assisted living community. But then there's issues with the real estate. Sometimes we have to do some title work. Sometimes we have to get to court and have an attorney ask the judge to allow the successor trustee to step in and sign all paperwork for the trust, because mom or dad no longer has the cognitive ability to make those kind of decisions or sign paperwork. So I've been involved with all kinds of crazy situations involving family and probate and trust and dementia and siblings fighting and all kinds of stuff. So just rest assured, if this is your situation, maybe you're caring for an elderly parent or need some help in that regards, I have a lot of expertise with this. I've helped a lot of families through these situations, and I can certainly help you as well. Even after 40 years of selling real estate here in LA, the fundamentals of being a broker haven't changed. It's still a people business. You have to talk to people all the time. You have to listen to people. You have to solve problems. You have to create trust. And those fundamentals are never going to change. It's still a people business. And that's what I like about real estate. I'm a people person. I love listening to people, talking to people, hearing stories, collaborating with my clients, reminiscing with them. I've got clients that go back 30 years. And so that's not going to change. All the technology and, bells and whistles are going to change and develop and evolve. But again, the fundamentals of a people business, working with clients, working with buyers and sellers, helping them, again, solving problems, that's not going to change. And that's one of the things I really love about this business. The technology makes it a lot easier and more efficient for me, so I can get more done in less time. Now, my 40 years in real estate have not been without some bumps and bruises and some ups and downs, specifically market downturns and other black swan events that I've worked through. So beginning in the early 90s, we had the S&L crisis, and there was a significant downturn in real estate and prices. The recession and major job losses in Southern California contributed to this. So I remember just a few years after I started real estate and everything were going swell, that market downturn really spanked me hard for a couple of years, but got through that, of course. And then in 1994, we had the Northridge earthquake, if you remember that. I still remember getting woken up in the middle of the night. I was living on 20th Avenue in Venice Beach and feeling that massive earthquake really shook me up. And, we had a lot of stuff like I think of the 10 freeway, the Santa Monica freeway was actually closed. There was some really bad damage to that freeway. And, real estate ground to a halt. I had deals in escrow, and every single escrow that I had, an appraiser had to come out and inspect it for earthquake damage. So that really kind of shook our market up for a little bit. And then in 2008 or so, we had the financial crisis, the mortgage turmoil that we had with everybody getting these really easy qualifier type loans and then not being able to make the payments. And that was a real tough market. Prices really dropped. I remember selling my friend Bill a fourplex in Westchester for $400,000. Today it's worth about $1.5 million. So that was a real tough time, and it shook a lot of people up. And I know a lot of investors got crushed. I knew investors that would buy 3 or 4 properties and then they'd refinance and pull some cash out, and they were doing that kind of maneuver. And then when the market changed in 2008, 2009, they just got crushed. They lost their properties, foreclosure, bankruptcies. It was really, really rough. A black swan event that really hit hard was obviously COVID in 2019, 2020. That COVID market shot really ground things to a halt for a while. It wasn't as bad as like the market downturn in 2008, but there was some turmoil going on. A lot of deals were closed. It was harder to get your listings sold. I remember, I think I sold 3 or 4 properties during the real worst part of COVID. You had to wear masks and gloves to show property. I never did all that stuff, but that was kind of a shock to the system. Of course, another black swan event was the Palisades, Malibu, Pasadena, Eaton fires. I mean, that was a crusher. I just remember watching all the videos and stuff. That was January of 2025. That was rough because it was very emotional. I mean, an earthquake's one thing. Yeah, you got an earthquake and things fell down, and some people did die and stuff, and some people lost their houses or apartments, but the fires were way more emotional for everybody because there was so many people that lost their houses. It wasn't just a few here and there. It was a lot of people. So that obviously paused our market for a while. I think the worst thing that came out of the fires and stuff was the insurance got really tough to get. I remember I was in escrow during the fires, and there was a couple weeks where we could not get insurance. So, finally that logjam broke, and we were able to get that property insured and get that deal closed. And then the recent interest rate spikes, I don't know if that's a black swan event. That's more like a market downturn, but that really affected our market. A lot of people got knocked out of the market. Home buyers and stuff just couldn't afford the interest rates. They couldn't afford the payments. Also, it really affected apartment owners who wanted to sell because, they were used to getting top dollar for their property. Buyers could roll in there with 3.5% interest rate. Everything worked fine. Now when the interest rate was 6.5%, cap rates had to go up. GRMs had to go down. I mean, I see property selling, in the 10 GRM range now for, B-class properties that before were getting 13 or 14 times gross rent. So those high interest rates really put a downturn on our market, and it's been that way for the last 2 or 3 years. Rates are lower now; they're in the 5s. It's March 2026, but it has put a significant damper on our market, especially multifamily, which is really interest rate sensitive. So a lot of these buyers are going, "Hey, man, you got to lower your price. Your GRM's too high. I can't make this deal work at 6.5%." So I just wanted to give you a little historical perspective of what I've witnessed, what I've gone through, what I've overcome with these market downturns and these black swan events. So that I'm seasoned and seen it all, done it all, been through it all. But I'm still here, rocking and rolling, and ready to help my clients. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this short retrospective of my 40-year career selling real estate here in Los Angeles and the Westside, and all over Southern California and even California itself. It's been a great ride. I'm not done yet. I got a lot more people to help in my career, and I'm still going strong, and I still enjoy it. And it's interesting. And another thing I like about it is I can work from home, which is great for me. And I'm always learning new things. I mean, no matter how much you know about real estate, and I know a lot, I still learn new things all the time. So keeps me healthy, keeps my brain working hard. And I look forward to helping you folks here in the future. Of course, if you need any help from me, just reach out. We can have a conversation, figure out what's going on with you and your properties. And I'm sure I'll have some good solutions for you no matter what you're trying to accomplish. All right, everybody, I really, really appreciate you watching this video, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.